What's going on, everyone? Alex Miller here from the Eagle, joined by Robert Cessna and Travis Brown. We're inside Cal Field following Texas A&M's 44-14 win over the South Carolina Gamecocks tonight. Aggies win again and hold on to that bottom trophy. So, Cease, what was it about A&M's performance that just made it so dominant tonight?
Well, all three phases. They get a touchdown right off the bat with Smith. You look at it, 41-0 after 3 quarters. You get to play all the scrubs. That's what a lot of people thought we'd see against the Kent States of the world and in New Mexico. It was only like 34-0 against New Mexico. So once again, just a total effort. And, you know, I thought the intensity was a lot like Alabama, but I was kind of surprised that they were that good for 3 quarters against an SEC team.
Through 3 quarters, before A&M pulled its starters, South Carolina had only had 15 yards of offense. Obviously, got a couple of late touchdowns there. But, Travis, the focus of your game story was on the A&M defense. What really was clicking there tonight, you feel like, that made the Aggies so dominant up front?
Yeah, you know, I think there was a microcosm of that was talking to Tyree Johnson, and he said that when the season started, he wasn't necessarily up to par where he thought he would be, and he got mad at himself. And he said that kind of pushed him to be more successful, to hone in and focus a little bit more going through practice and going into these games. And he played a little bit angry tonight and got in and got 2 sacks and now leads the team in sacks coming out of this game. I thought that the A&M defense kind of looked like they were playing a little bit angry or with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I mean, they had to have known with South Carolina's stats, with what they saw in the game film, that this would be a game that they could absolutely go off. And at times, it didn't even look like South Carolina could get the ball back to the line of scrimmage, let alone they went into the 3rd quarter with just 2 first downs. They hit a low point of negative 15 total yards and then had negative 20 rushing yards at the lowest point from that performance point well in the 3rd quarter. It wasn't even until A&M put in the backups that they were able to actually move the ball. It was shaped up for an absolutely historic defensive effort if it wasn't for some of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th stringers that let them get some yards at the end of the game. But yeah, it just looked like a defense that was playing with a little bit of a chip on its shoulder and playing in the same way that it did against Alabama 2 weeks prior.
You know, it's no secret that South Carolina wasn't a very good team, but this is the same A&M team that 3 weeks ago lost to Mississippi State on this field, a Mississippi State team that has not done that well since then. But Cease, you know, where do you see the Aggies kind of turning the corner, maybe, or really improving and kind of hitting a run right here through the middle of the season, going into this bye week?
Well, we knew going in A&M had a very good defense led by the defensive line, and this still is a line of scrimmage league. And there's no doubt, I feel the offensive line's gotten better. And in this league, when you have a weakness, they're going to find it. And South Carolina had a lot of weaknesses, and you could see A&M exploit them. Now, they're not going to get those same kind of weaknesses against the Auburns of the world and maybe the Ole Misses, but this is where you're at in Week 7 and Week 8. If you don't do something well, other teams are going to take advantage. On the flip side of it is, I see A&M doing things better than they did 4 or 5 weeks ago. I think that the offensive line is solidified. And we all know Chain and Spiller, how hard they ran tonight, how many yards they got after hit. Whereas I thought another thing about the defense with, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but very few missed tackles. Mm-hmm. You know, the first 5-6 games, they would always miss tackles. But today I felt anybody that had the ball for South Carolina had to feel like a ball in a pinball machine.
Yeah, you know, that was something that Jimbo stressed in the post-game press conference, was that A&M was making tackles in space. Travis, I feel like you were about to say something.
Oh, no, yeah, I was going to agree that just they actually got in there when they wrapped up, they made the tackle, or they were doing a good job of wrapping up and waiting for that second guy to come help make the tackle, where in weeks prior, it was a lot of arm tackling, it was a lot of going in towards the legs, and even if they weren't going to get the tackle in, they didn't let that other guy come up and help and make the assisted tackle. A lot of that tonight. And a lot of making the right, you know, holding contain once they got inside the backfield and not letting guys run around them or slip back through the middle of the field. Help contain and let their defensive help come to them.
Cease, can I see that real quick? Yeah,
yes,
you know, I feel like you mentioned it, that A&M's really that they've made some progress, and one of the biggest things I think is that the improvement in Zach Calzada at quarterback. And Travis, we were talking about it earlier during the game. You know, this was, well, statistically, he was only 50% completion-wise, but he was making some really good throws out there in that first quarter, allowed him to get out to that 31-0 lead. You know, what'd you see from Zach tonight, and just kind of the way that he's kind of progressed in these last few weeks?
You know, you pointed it out a couple weeks ago that we got here really early for a game. I believe it was you, or it might have been Cease. That really early in the game, when the guys were just out there in the warm-ups and stuff, a couple weeks ago, they had jugs guns out on the field. And it looked like some over the side, some wide receivers were catching some passes with some jugs guns. And you have to think, I asked Jalen Weidemeyer what it's like to be on the other end of one of those Zach Calzada throws. And to his detriment, to a lot of people sometimes, on the short passes, the passes to the flat, he kind of sometimes doesn't have that touch. He still zips it in there as hard as he can. But a couple of times he zipped those passes so hard that it fell right into the window that it needed to be. I thought his best pass of the night actually might have been to Demond Demas in the end zone. Ended up being an incomplete pass, but he put it right over the window where the defender was and hit him in the hands, and he just couldn't necessarily pull it in. Thought that was a great pass. Thought the pass to Jalen Weidemeyer on the touchdown was a perfectly thrown pass. And if you notice on that one, he had to bobble that once or twice before diving into the end zone. And so Weidemeyer said jugs guns, and just learning to really watch the ball in has helped the receivers help the quarterback out. And he put them on pinpoint places on a lot of those passes. Had a few that kind of made you chuckle a little bit because they were kind of way off out into the wild blue yonder. But when he was on tonight.
For sure. And his top target, of course, Jalen Weidemeyer, who broke A&M's receiving record for career receiving yards among tight ends. Still trying to chase some other guys that are receivers.
I'll cut you off on that,
okay,
because that was your story, and you did a good job chasing that story down about what kind of motivated him today.
Yeah, really neat story. Jalen Weidemeyer, his older brother Tyrese, serving in the Navy up in Illinois, stationed up there, surprised him today at the game. Only the second time he's gotten to watch him play here at A&M in person, and obviously it was a secret. Parents kept it from him, but Tyrese surprised him while the team was walking into Kyle Field when they got here. And, gave him a performance to be proud of, little brother. 4 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, and like we said, broke that record. Talking with Jalen after the game, you can really tell he's got a lot of siblings. I think he said 7 or 8 maybe. And this is the sibling that's closest to him. And this has been the longest it's been since they've seen each other. And so, definitely a special night for the Weidemeyers, and, Jalen continuing to cement himself as one of the best tight ends that's ever played at A&M, probably. Cease, we'll turn to you. A&M enters the bye week, of course. A pretty tough stretch when you look at November with Auburn and then the road games at Ole Miss and LSU. Where do you see this A&M team at right now, and what's going to be the key to the Aggies to try and make a run for it there in November?
I think once again I'll get back to is this is 2 weeks in a row they've played pretty good run defense. And, that was a problem early in the year too, because they're giving up some big numbers, some big plays at times after finishing second. Last year they were really good against the run defense. So I'm glad to see their run defense get back, was looking ahead. And you guys touched on it. Calzada continues to improve, and I don't think they're going to be able to beat Ole Miss in Auburn unless Calzada plays good, because I think both those teams right now are a little bit better the way they're playing, and obviously someone like South Carolina, who knows what LSU is going to be in. But a lot of things for A&M to build on, and I'm kind of laughing because they've screwed up really so much in the first 5-6 weeks. You come out and you see a complete game like this, and I'm like, wow. Last year they played a lot of complete games at different times. Maybe not as impressive because A&M could have scored 60 points today if they wouldn't have given up the field goals or conservative play calling when I think Jimbo just wanted to get 3 points and say, let's move on. But a lot to build on, and I think that's it, Alex. Get good quarterback play, keep the offensive line moving, defense keeps playing like that. We might go to a good destination.
And I'm always curious of the fact it's a bye week. There was some shuffling around. You're an AP voter. Where does this necessarily put A&M in your idea without having seen some of the other scores?
Yeah, I always say it's lucky. Last week I had them 17 in my poll. They were 17. And it's just hard to say they're going to move up a little bit. Someone like Penn State looking bad, a lot of losses. So they have a great chance to get up there to number 13 or 14, let's say, and you think, wow, got a bye week. So, you'll be knocking almost in the top 10. The way there's so many upsets. There's so many upsets. Right now, A&M looks like a top 15, top 10 team. And you can say Oklahoma didn't even look good today, but they won. Neither did Cincinnati. So if A&M keeps winning, people are losing. This is a year because of the transfer portal, because of the 6-year seniors. So A&M doesn't have a lot of those guys when you stop and think about it. Transfer portal or 6-year guy. But the younger guys they have in place, that offensive line is real young. So it bodes well for the future.
Well, that'll do it for us here from Kyle Field. Let's go check those pages and get this paper out. But that'll be UC's. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back next week. More coverage on Texas A&M football.